Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kensington. How are we feeling today? How are we feeling? Oh, yes. I love the energy already. Listen, we're excited you're here. I want to invite everyone. Let's stand to our feet all over the room. We're going to sing a familiar song out. If you know it, we want to hear you sing it today. When all I see is the battle, you see my victory. When all I see is a mountain, you see a mountain moved. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. Yes. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. Sing it if you know it. It says, so when I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? Yeah. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. Yes, you do. You go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows. You win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. Let's sing. Almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against in the shadows, and you win every battle. Let's say, nothing can stand against the power. Come on, sing, almighty fortress. You go before. Nothing can stand against the power. Remind yourself, he shines in the shadows, and he'll win every battle. The battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Sing it again. Sing, oh God, the battle belongs to you. Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Clap your hands like this. Come on. Oh yes, I want us to step into this next moment together. It doesn't matter what it is you've been facing, what you've been dealing with. If God has healed you before, he's more than able to do it again. That's going to be our declaration, that if he's done it before, he'll do it again. Let's step into it together. Let's clap like this. Help me sing. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe you believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move. You move the mountains. You move the mountains. I believe. And I believe I'll see you do it again. I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way. There was no way. And I believe I'll see you do it. I'll see you do it again. Come on, if you see him do it, say it. I'll see you do it again. He's going to heal you again. He'll make a way again. I'll see you do it again. He'll move that mountain again. He'll see you through that valley. I'll see you do it again. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees. Come on, sing it. With my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And every fear I will lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. One more time. Oh God, oh God, the battle belongs to you. Clap your hands if you believe the battle truly belongs to him. Yes, yes.
You know those awkward times where you come up on stage a little too early and they just keep singing and then you're caught in like no man's land right over here? That's exactly what happened. I'm like, maybe I should just start singing, right? Just join the team right there. Hey, I want to say I am so glad that everyone is here, everyone who's watching via stream. Hopefully the weather is beautiful just like it is today. And I love that song. This is a reminder to me of so many times in our lives when our backs were up against the wall and we saw no way forward. And we're like, how is this actually going to work out? And God made a way. And so if you are in that position today where you just feel like you just do not see any way out, it could be in a marriage, it could be in a relationship, maybe in a job situation, maybe financially, please know that there's a God who sees you and is walking alongside of you, giving us everything that we need to be able to move forward. And I hope you have that hope today. And really, one of the areas that this can happen in is relationships. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we have none other than Steve Andrews with us. Let's give him a hand. He's one of our co-founders, everybody. Good human being. But before Steve gets up here and does Steve things, we just want to let you all know about a couple things that are happening. And the first is happening actually in 2 weeks. And that is our annual Hope Water Project 5K. Let's give a hand for that. If you've been a part of it, give a hand for that because this is amazing, right? Like I said, it doesn't matter. You don't have to run. I know it's a 5K sort of run and that's what we think of. It doesn't matter. You can walk, you can crawl, right? And it's like if you have little kids, they can ride their bikes, whatever it is, right? However you want to cover that 5K, if you want to Uber it, feel free, although that's severely discouraged. But hey, you know what? But the whole purpose is for us to come out and raise a ton of money, and so that people in Western Kenya, the Pokot people, can have access to clean water. And it's not just about clean water. When clean water enters into a village, it opens the door wide open for the message of Jesus to enter in, and that is what is able to transform lives. And so we love for everyone to come. This is a kid-friendly event, so if you have kids, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, other kids in your neighborhood, bring them, invite them. There's tons of stuff to do. There's going to be food there as well. And so if you can't run or if you don't want to be a part of it, come cheer people on, give, and let's all come and be a part of this fantastic event that's happening in a couple weeks. Also, if you have a high school student or you know of a high school student, invite them to come out to High School United on June first. And this is an opportunity for all of our high school students in the greater Detroit area to come together, to have a ton of fun, to connect with one another, but most importantly, to connect with Jesus. And so that is what we desire. And so if you're a high school student, we want to invite you to come out. And I know if you're a high school student, you have friends. And so invite them to come out because you are not going to want to miss this event. And so if you have any questions concerning this, you can come and have a conversation with me or Sarah Rance, who is our amazing Student Ministries Director. Would love for you to experience this as well. And lastly, May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And so we are celebrating that as a community here. And one of the ways that we want to do that is that we have something called an honor page. And so if you didn't know about that, visit it. It's kensingtonchurch.org/honor. Tons of resources as to how we as Jesus followers can engage with this portion of our history. And also about Steve apparently wrote a blog. Not apparently, I read it, and it was amazing. And so Steve's blog is over there, and so read it, right? Go to that page, kensingtonchurch.org/honor. But at the same time, one of the things that we also desire to do is that during this month, elevate the voices of Asian Americans in our community. And today, we have none other than Carol Lamosny out in the lobby. Yes! She has a fan club. Let me just say, Carol is amazing. She's not only a part of our finance team, but she's also this incredible creative person who writes children's books. And so go out, if you have little ones, drop by. There's lots of activities there. You'll be able to check out her book, which is a phenomenal, phenomenal work of art. And so get to know her, and I love Carol and her family. And so we would love for you to drop by there. And so today we are in the fourth week of our series, which is all about relationships. And we all have relationships. And one of the things that I've said in the past is that some of these relationships are healthy, they're thriving, they're flourishing, they're great, right? But at the same time, I know for every single one of us, we have relationships in our lives that are not, that are in need of repair. They're broken. And maybe it's with a coworker, maybe it's with our boss, maybe it's our neighbor that we just cannot stand. Maybe it's with that family member. And we know when these relationships are broken because we avoid their call. Right? When we're walking around the office, we purposely choose not to go by their desk. Right? We walk a different way. And we all know these types of relationships. And so what are we actually supposed to do to experience God's vision in our life? To experience repair and reconciliation and healing. And that is the journey that we are on today. But before we go there and continue on with that, I want to invite everyone, let's stand up and let's say hello to the people around us.
The strained relationship my sister and I have had all our lives came to a breaking point when my dad needed elder care. A lot of trust was broken as we navigated that season, and whatever relationship we had is even less now. We are cordial, but very distant.
I've distanced myself from a friendship I've had for years. He had difficulty listening, always has an opinion, and tells me what to do. It sucks the joy out of the relationship. I know I should talk to him about it, but I've been avoiding doing so because I don't want to experience the awkwardness.
We're past polite, been on both sides. We chose family forever. Tell me the truth, even if it hurts me, even if it's ugly. My heart is open. Tell me the truth without the self-protection. Love can mend what's broken in me and you.
My relationship with my mother has become rougher the past few years. I think she has a hard time letting me go and understanding boundaries. She wants to be best friends instead of mother-daughter. I have noticed I no longer seek her approval in the ways I did before.
I haven't spoken to my extended family in 8 years. Politics got brought up in toxic ways at every family gathering, and it became too exhausting to continue to be around them. So I stopped showing up or reaching out. I miss them, but also have more peace now setting that boundary.
If we'll be honest, expose our weakness, we'll find we're strongest together. So tell me the truth, even if it hurts me, even if it's ugly, my heart is open. Tell me the truth, without the self-protection, love can mend what's broken in me and you.
My uncle used to work in our family business, but after some decisions he made, he was let go and things were never the same. The relationship became incredibly strained. As kids, we could look past it. When my dad passed away, I thought he would show up to come honor his brother, but he never did.
My sister died last year. My whole life, we never got along, and she was estranged from our family for the last 5 years. I guess I just assumed that at some point we'd reconnect down the road and maybe have a chance to reconcile. But now we can't, and I struggle with even wanting to forgive her.
Brick by brick, we'll take the walls down, even if it takes a lifetime. Brick by brick, we'll take the walls down, even if it takes a lifetime. Tell me the truth, tell me the truth, even if it takes a lifetime.
I'd like to say thank you very much to our team that planned the service. And I don't know who wrote that song. That song took a lot of courage, didn't it? I mean, it's really, really amazing when you think of the weights that you brought in here today that you probably feel heaviest are probably about broken relationships. There's a weight and an angst. There's a every waking moment when you like slow your life down, where that brokenness comes back to haunt you or to prick you or to test you. And I thought, whether we're the offender or the offended, and in most cases we're both. Hello? In most cases we're both. I think we get stuck in this world where, I'm the offended, you're the offended. No. It takes two people to offend and be offended. And I think in this, broken relationships require a lot of healing and intervention. God speaks about it continually. This is something that was in the heart of God all along the way. And today I just want to say, let's lean into this with courage. And by the way, I don't get to speak at Troy that often. I kind of do the loop of all the campuses. I'm like, Andrew, you could have picked me for an easier weekend. Like, I want to come speak about, when is Picnic Sunday? I get broken relationships. Thanks a lot. So you guys can all punch Andrew when you see him. But right off the top, I want to thank God for what he's doing in this community. And I want to speak to something. The ushers get ready in just a second to take the offering. But I want to talk about Hope Water Project, which is happening in 13 days. I got two buddies right here, Lawrence Lewis, John Cummings. Stand up, wave at everybody. These are two of the guys that just, stand up. These are two of the guys that just went with our Kenya men's trip. And a lot of you don't know this, but we've done 165 wells through Hope Water with the government, the Kenyan government, and other partnerships. We've done 300 wells with the drilling rig. The Barnhart Crane and Rigging out of Memphis gave us a $400,000 drill rig back in 2006. That 300 wells has probably brought clean water to at least, I would guess, at least 500, maybe 700,000 people. But John, at one of the wells, it's amazing. Yeah, you can clap. But John and Lawrence are part of a group of people, like many of you here, that part of your life mission is to see clean water for the Pokot. And John got to give a message at one of the wells. It was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And our team, I was supposed to be on that group, but Paula had fallen and broken her femur in December, so I wasn't able to go in February. But I got to see on video John speaking to 3,000 people gathered around a well. Can you imagine doing something in your life where you do that one thing and 3,000 people will remember that as the most important moment of their whole life? You can't even, in America, we can't even imagine that, other than your wedding day or the birth of your child, or certainly the birth of your grandchildren. You know, once you have kids, you're like, who cares about my kids? But those grandkids are pretty cool. So it's amazing to see the change that's happened for us, where we have impacted a world. And we've seen churches explode. Do you realize? No, of course you don't, because you don't know. We have 300 well requests, in folders, just waiting to be responded for people to catch the vision. Each well's $28,000. It's a lot of money. We need 700 people to run on Hope Water Day or pay the $40 registration for one well. We have other people that are going to give. A lot of us will give above and beyond that. But I just want to say, what is your life about? Like, what are you on mission for? What is burning in your heart? For me, it's obviously, for John, others, one of the things that burns on our heart is the Pokot, that we could change the existence of 1.2 million people. We could end FGM. We could end infant mortality rates. We could just obliterate them. We see churches, medical clinics, schools. We've got 300 or 400 Pokot kids that are in high school and college right now, whereas 20 years ago there were 0. All because of the faithful giving of people in this church. And it's interesting, for all of this, I just want you to know this, Kensington, over the last 23 years, has given $20 million to the Pokot. And there's so many ministries want to run. But here's what I want to tell you. Terry Prisk, who's one of our church plants, Grumlaw Church out in Heartland and Grand Blanc, we have recommitted our next decade to finishing the job, because we need to do 700 wells. We need $20 million for 700 wells, so the people we love don't die from drinking poisoned water. And I'm just saying all this to say the Hope Water 5K, it's not just come and run a 5K. I want to say to you, be on mission with something that burns in your life that you want to give your life for. Because you know what the key to happiness is? The key to happiness is not living for yourself. The key is living love and God's love for other people, however that plays out. And to say we have such a privileged opportunity. Okay, is that enough for Hope Water for the moment? Okay, let's hear it for Hope Water. Come on. One of the reasons that would hit me so hard today for this message is that maybe the greatest betrayal of my life was betraying Julius Murgor when we were in seminary in Chicago 39 years ago. And I told him that I was going to be committed to the Pokot for life. And he believed me. He was going back to Kenya. He went back and almost died. He had 3 attempts on his life where tribal chiefs wanted to murder him because he was bringing the message of Jesus Christ to the Pokot. And you know what I did? I came here, worked at Faith Church, and then started Kensington with a bunch of wonderful people. We started it, and I totally forgot about him for 16 years. Like once in a while, I'll have a fleeting thought in the back of my mind. And when we were miraculously reconnected in 2002 through a miracle, the next January, 03, I took my oldest daughter, Lindy. She's here. Lindy, raise your hand. Lindy and I went with Dave. Dave Wilson took CJ, and Mark took his oldest daughter. We had an amazing trip. And at the end of that trip, I don't know if you've ever had anybody do this to you, but at the end of the trip, we'd had an unbelievable experience. I was very burdened because the needs were so huge. We didn't have a great deal of money at that time as a church. Didn't know that we were going to be able to invest $20 million up to this point. And I was like defeated. I was discouraged. But here's the clincher. At the end of that, Julius walks up to me. By the way, finally we're doing the offering. They're ready. Okay, sorry about that. That's another seamless Steve Andrews transition. Perfect timing. Complete awareness of the situation. Sorry about that. But anyway, Julius looks at me, and we're saying goodbye. We're out in a desert area in East Pocot, the worst situation imaginable. That's where these guys were on this last trip. You just can't believe people live in this environment. And he looks at me and he goes, so, he was real serious, not even a smile. He looks at me and he goes, so, are you going to forget me this time again? You ever had anybody say that to you? Where you literally betrayed somebody, you abandoned them for 16 years? That was the day I realized that in conflict and broken relationships, there are three positions you can be in. You can be the hero of that broken relationship, or you can be the victim. But I can tell you what, the third person you don't want to be the villain. And I found in all my journey of broken relationships and conflicts that I'm in, as I'm with people, is I don't want to be the villain, and the people I talk to don't want to admit their villainy either. But if you're going to mend a relationship, you have to know when you've been the betrayer. You have to know when you've been the offender. And you also, nothing wrong, when you have been offended, when you've been victimized, listen, I'm not short-circuiting that. But in normal relationships, on a level playing field, it's really easy to be the villain and never recognize it. And I think that was one of the first times, and it wasn't until 23 years later in a staff meeting on the second floor when I realized when Julius finally shared how deeply hurt he was in my betrayal to the staff. He had kept it tucked away for 37 years. So I just want you to say today that God has the desire to see relationships that are broken come together, but often they don't. It's hard. If you break a relationship so severely, it's very often, it's never going to be what it was before. But maybe it needs to become something else, something more dignified. Maybe there's a distance that you need to keep to be wise, but you also can honor the person or forgive. In my family growing up, we had for those of you younger, you won't even know what I'm talking about, but when I was growing up, we had dinner together. There was this table. It was a rectangular table, and it was called the dining room. It's crazy. We had this room, a dining room, and there was a table there. And 5 nights a week, we would eat in there. My mom would put a tablecloth. She put a tablecloth on there. We'd bring out food in serving dishes. It's crazy. And we would eat, and then we would talk. It's so much harder to do in today's culture. But we would talk for hours. And I was the youngest in my family. My mom and dad, 5 of us, I was the youngest, and we always had guests at the dinner table. And our dinners would run for 2 or 3 hours. And people would tell stories. And believe it or not, you can ask Paula, my wife's here in second row, ask her, I was the quietest person in my family. That's a fun table. And people would debate, and we would have arguments. And I don't know where it started. There was some moment where it started when I was thinking in my late single digits that if someone was defending themselves too vigorously, all the kids in the table would start going, defense, 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 defense. Doesn't really work good for relationships, but it's pretty funny for a moment. But I thought, when we're in broken relationships, it's so easy to be defensive or to be offensive. And everyone in this room is facing this load today with people. I can honestly say I would be shocked if there's one human in this room that isn't struggling with a broken relationship, if not multiple relationships. So I want to share with you a very little known story that you probably don't know, and you're gonna be fascinated by it. If not, you can ask for your money back at the end of the message in 2 hours. This is where Moses is in a conflict with his brother and sister, who are co-leaders of a nation of 2 million people being led out of 400 years of slavery in Egypt. Miriam, we don't know, but we think Miriam was the older sister that watched Moses when he was a baby in the bulrushes. If you know the story, when the princess, one of the daughters of Pharaoh, discovered this beautiful baby boy, probably on the edge of the Nile River, and this Miriam was a very important person in Moses' life, and then Aaron was a spokesperson for Moses in this impossible situation. It's incredible. It's really one of the great stories of history. Anyway, at some point, and we don't know why, it says Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife. In some cases, they think that the Cushite or the Midianites came from the Ethiopian area of the world. They were known for dark skin. So Moses is marrying this woman, Zipporah, who, by the way, there's a couple of moments where she appears that I can't even talk about today, but they're very interesting and very X-rated even. It's just pretty crazy. So maybe that'll make you read your Bible. Anyway, this is their complaint. They go, has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this. Lord always hears it. By the way, one of the big jokes all the years at Kensington, whenever a person would talk about it, having a great moment at Kensington where someone would just be so touched by God or whatever, they say, and they go, and Dave Wilson was speaking. I'm like, dang it, it's always Dave Wilson. Because God just gave him that ability, right? And what if I said, well, wait a second, what about me? Doesn't God speak to me? What's that going to do? It's going to divide. It's going to hurt. It's going to create mistrust and conflict. Now, this is the part where it doesn't apply to any of us, probably. Verse 3, it said Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth, except for maybe me. At once, the Lord said to Moses, that's an important phrase, at once, the Lord said to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, come out to the tent of meeting, all three of you. So the three of them went out. So what's happening here? Aaron and Miriam make unfair judgments about Moses' character. They were racist. We know that for pretty clear fact. And they were also probably jealous of the fact that it's Moses' show. But even though they were doing great things, they were a trinity. They were a triumvirate, a team. But they start, can you imagine? Moses by this time has been married 50 years. And they're still talking about his wife. How would your family survive that? I'm just telling you, if my brother and sister started talking about Paula, because we have a mixed marriage, she's a northerner, she's the first northerner in our family. Like my siblings wouldn't even cross the Mason-Dixon line. They're a bunch of jerks, but they wouldn't. But just imagine if somebody in your family starts just berating your spouse. Hardly anything that could be more offensive. I thought about this, and then this hit me because Andrew, Kim, and I just did a 4-day experience. Paul and I and a group of us in Alabama. We walked the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and we went to Birmingham, the 16th Street Baptist, where the girls were blown up in the bomb. Remember that in 1963? We walked the boycott strike in downtown Birmingham. We went to Montgomery to see the 88-foot tall monument to the Confederacy that still stands in a premier position at the Montgomery State Building. And then we went to Brian Stevenson's Legacy Museum, which is unbelievable. I hope someday you could go there. So we're going in all of that experience, and then all of a sudden, as I was preparing this message, here's what hit me. It would have been illegal for Moses to marry Zipporah in the United States until 1967. Loving versus Virginia. So what's been going on has been going on a long time. The ability of trying to create pecking order, looking down on people because of their ethnicity or whatever it is. And I thought these same problems are hard to believe, but they're true. And Moses gets the same criticism, even though Zipporah is proven in the narrative to be a very dynamic person and courageous. But in this case, God's not going to let Aram and Miriam get away with it. That's why I would say at once. God said suddenly, God approaches all three parties. This is just the conclusion that I've made in my own life and coming out of the story. Because whenever you don't speak well of others, bad things happen. They happen to the person you speak about, and they happen to you as well. And I would say in my lifetime in leading people, being engaged with people, I would say the four most hurtful words in the world are, I heard from somebody. I heard from somebody. They're the most hurtful words in the world. Instead of speaking the truth directly and engaging with people, we let people say, oh, did you hear about Brian Mowry, the new leader of Kensington? You're like, everybody's like, he's an awesome man. He's an awesome man, but don't tell anybody, but that's what I heard from somebody. You see what I'm saying? I heard from somebody? It's terrible. Leave it. And this is what I would say today. As you think about this story, and you think about the broken relationships, I don't care how broken they are, figure out a way to speak well always of others. With God's strength, don't speak ill of another person. We've lost that in public life. But we don't have to lose that in the church or in our families or in our relationships with people. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 5, it's incredible, verse 43 to 45, you can look it up later, but it says, Jesus said, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. People say, Jesus wasn't that unique. Well, I'm just going to tell me in history where you read this story, where Jesus says, but I tell you, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. This is so unbelievably radical. When I've been in conflict with close friends, it's hard to pray for them, isn't it? People that have been hurt by me, it's been hard for them to pray for me because they've been hurt. Learn to speak well of others and follow Jesus, because Jesus says, I will walk with you, and all of a sudden you can love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This is so old, I can't believe this came to my mind, but David Wilkerson wrote a book when I think I was 11 years old when I read it. I think it was 1967, I might be wrong, The Cross and the Switchblade. Does anybody remember this book? Anybody? Raise your hand, Cross and the Switchblade. Okay, one hand, two. Anybody here? 3, 4, 5. Okay, a few of us old farts in the room. David Wilkerson was a country boy called to New York City, and he started working with gangs, and he was working in a Puerto Rican area primarily, and this gang had a young guy named Nicky Cruz who was incredibly violent. He had killed people, and it was all the members of these gangs, you had to hurt somebody, and Nicky and his gang surrounded David Wilkerson, and they had him in a corner, basically an alley in the dark of New York somewhere. I don't know what part, what borough? Is that how you say it? Burrow? Not a burrow that you ride, a burrow where you live, yeah, whatever. And Nicky Cruz flicks his switchblade, and he says, I'm going to carve you into pieces right now because you have no business being here. We are not interested in Jesus you're talking about. David Wilkerson's alone, surrounded by a young gang, a bunch of young guys. And he goes, Nicky, he says, you can cut me in 1,000 pieces, and every piece will cry out that Jesus loves you. I never forgot that. When I was 11, that's what made me want to follow Jesus. Like, I want to follow somebody where you could cut me to pieces, and every piece would still say, I love you. That's the power of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it's so unique in the world. And it's what we need. It's what we're not seeing. We're still living in an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, or 100 eyes for an eye. We're living in this world. And God says, I hear this. And I want you to speak well of each other. I don't want you to do this. So, here's where God intervenes. Verse 5. It says, the Lord came down in a pillar of clouds, verse 5. He stood at the entrance to the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. And when the two of them stepped forward, he said, listen to my words. When there's a prophet among you, I, the Lord, reveal myself to them in visions, and I speak to them in dreams. But this is not true of Moses, my servant. He is faithful in all my house. This is the Hebrew word aman, which means to support or uphold. It's like Moses was a buttress. He was a foundational piece for the people of Egypt. In fact, this is amazing. Nancy and Daniel, I want you to hear this. My daughter Nancy and my son-in-law Daniel. This word aman is also used in the Old Testament to describe a foster father or foster mother. It's how a nurse cares for a sick person. That's how God describes Moses. Now, come on. Somebody say, how cool is that? Okay, 3 of you said it. No, how cool is that? This is a beautiful picture. God's saying, when with him, verse 8, I speak face to face, clearly, not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord burned against them, and he left them. He left them to think about it. Like you got to have time. You got to have time to reflect on something like that. Like you got broken relationships. One of the big mistakes we make in broken relationships is we rush in too fast. And the RPMs are beaten too fast. Sometimes we need to give stuff some time. Sometimes we need to let the cake bake. And because we rush in and our faces are flushed, our temperature's raised, our heartbeat's going too fast, and then we end up not helping the situation. So God gives them this space. Here's the second key to what happens here. And I love this about Aaron and Miriam, because Aaron and Miriam are very important people. It's not like two jerks that are getting in trouble. These people made a huge difference in the world. But here they do something that's really powerful I want to encourage you to do too in the midst of a broken relationship. Take the time to listen to God. Just take the time to listen. Sometimes we want to rush full speed ahead and we need to stop and listen. Stop and listen. Seek the Bible's insight. Look at Jesus and see how he stepped into difficult situations. You got to remember, anybody remember what Jesus' family tried to do with him? Jesus is healing people, all this stuff's going on. His mother and brothers show up to what? Take him away because they think he's lost his mind. You don't think Jesus understands the brokenness and the struggles we all have in our families? Every one of my children can tell you about all the imperfect things that their mother did. Actually, she hardly did anything imperfect, but man, their dad is a doofus in so many ways. And so when you listen to God, I want to say there's one practice. I always talk about living open-handedly. Listen to God like this. You're going to start like this. All right, God, what do you want to tell me? Stupid parents, stupid kids, stupid friends, stupid boss. And eventually, let go of some of the defensiveness. Living on defense it's just no good. Anybody that's an NFL football fan knows, what does a prevent defense do? Loses you the game. A prevent defense loses you the game. Like 90% of the time. It drives me nuts. And they still do it. Game after game, year after year. Don't live defensively. Live in trusting God. By the way, you think how angry was God? It says the anger of the Lord burned against them. This is where you flare your nostrils. This is the word, the Hebrew word for it's called up. It's very attractive. You flare your nostrils. You're defensive. You're angry. You're ready to be. But God's saying, no, do this thing right. In verse 10, it says, when the cloud lifted from above the tent, Miriam's skin was leprous. It became as white as snow. Again, some of you know about leprosy. There are different kinds of leprosy. There's the worst kind, Hansen's disease, which still affects the world. They still think there's 20 million people with Hansen's disease in the world. It's the deadening of the nerve endings. So in places where Nancy and Helen and I were in India, we saw hundreds of people with leprosy that they had worn their fingers down, basically down to the nub of their palms. Their noses were gone. Because you lose the feeling in your extremities, you end up damaging yourself because you can't, like your nerves, like that's one of the most miraculous gifts that a human being can have. Nerves is what allows you touch a hot handle and you let go. Why? Because you have nerves that work. People with leprosy don't have that. There's another kind of leprosy that this might have been, is just where your skin, it's just skin disease, where your skin is poisoned and falling off and flaking, and that might have been the case for Miriam. But anyway, when God leaves, she's got this disease. And Aaron turns toward her and saw that she had this skin disease. It was defiling because if you had a disease like that, you couldn't stay in the community, right? They're trying to keep disease and outbreak from happening. Like you have to be isolated. So they would send people outside the camp. And Aaron then has a complete change of heart. The beginning of this chapter, he's like, hey, Moses, what makes you so good? Huh? How about us? Now look at this verse. He says to Moses, please, my Lord. Anybody notice a difference? It takes a real scholar to see this. Now, that was supposed to be funny, and obviously it wasn't. Please, my Lord, my master, my leader. A total change of attitude for Aaron, because the third thing is so important, is he admits his foolish and destructive behavior. He recognizes it and admits it. And I would say in broken relationships, one of the things that we can't do is I can't admit for you, let's say you've done something to me. It does nothing for me to admit what you've done wrong. Well, I really want to confess, which is I want you to confess what you've done wrong. It doesn't work. The only person you can confess for is yourself. Because otherwise you're trying to defensively prove that you're okay. Now, I haven't shared this in a while, but I'll do it with Paula because this was the turning point moment in our life. Back in January of 1993, Lindy and Nancy, who are here today, and Paula, I call her Gaga. She's not Paula. She used to be Paula. I call her Gaga now, which I need to not do that all the time. We were at a condominium in January over in Lake Macatawa near Lake Michigan, and she was pregnant with Jeff. I didn't know at the time she was pregnant with Jeff. And she was very withdrawn. And I'm like, I was taking the three girls, Helen's not here today, but we'd taken the three girls out on walks in Lake Michigan. Do you guys remember the incredible ice? You remember the ice configurations? It was a real cold winter, and there were 20-foot high ice configurations on the shore that from the waves crashing in. And I had not been paying attention and loving and cherishing Paula, and she was pretty withdrawn. Anyway, the third night, I said, honey, you got to tell me what's wrong. What is going on? Anybody remember this? I've told this a lot in the past. She goes, well, this is how it started. She goes, well, I'm not going to divorce you. That started us on a 5-year journey, which I would describe, I don't know how, you can ask Paul how she would describe it. It was like the valley through the shadow of death for us. It was 5 years. We didn't know if we would come out of it. We didn't know if our marriage would survive. And it was really, really hard. But I just left her in the dust. We were building a big church. All this great stuff was happening, and I wasn't serving her in any way. Wasn't helping her. I was a villain. But you know what I did for a year and a half? Somebody who's intuitive would know what I did for a year and a half. I spent the first year and a half of that 5 years trying to convince her that it wasn't true, that she really had a good thing with me. Come on. Who doesn't want this? I literally spent a year and a half trying to, honey, it really is so much good. Instead of going, I am so sorry for being such a jerk, and for ignoring you, not serving you, treating you as a second thought or a third thought or a fourth thought. And as soon as I began to embrace my villainy, that started us on a road back. Now, however, when I started admitting that I'd been wrong, just warn you, it got worse for about a year, because she finally felt safe to tell me what she was really thinking, because she knew I was finally listening a little bit. Not a great amount, but a little bit. So Aaron sees his sister, and he says to Moses, please, Lord, don't hold this sin against we've so foolishly committed. Don't let her be like a stillborn infant coming from its mother's womb with its flesh half eaten away. He says, my Lord, Adon. It's the same word we use for God, Adonai. My strong Lord, my master, my leader. What a change of attitude. And he admits his broken behavior. In the New Testament, in the book of James, one of the things James says is so simple: confess your sins to one another. And I just want to say this. In a relationship, if you can't confess sins to one another, at least confess your sins. Because you're not responsible for the sins of the other person. You confess. You do, as you listen to God, you own it. And you own the failures of your relationships and of your life. If you say you're sorry. And I know I've had so many relationships. I say, but you did. Look what you did. Does anybody ever done that? Just curious. Yeah, y'all are perfect. Y'all are Kensington people. Y'all are perfect. Of course, you want to point the blame. Say, well, I'm really one about me, but you irritated the snot out of me. That's not going to work. Healing begins when we admit our broken behavior. And then finally, healing begins. Verse 13, Moses listens to his brother. He doesn't have to be, Aaron doesn't plead with him. It says, Moses cried out to the Lord, please God, heal her. And by the way, this isn't strong enough. This is the NIV version. Moses is really saying, Lord, heal her now. Like, heal her right now. Because he doesn't like it either. He loves his sister. And, you know, the hurt has been acknowledged. But look, this is weird. I told you it's going to be a strange story you've never thought about before. The Lord replied to Moses, if her father had spit in her face, horrible thought, can't imagine that, would she not have been in disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days, and after that she can be brought back. So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on till she was brought back. And after that, the people left Hazeroth and encamped in the desert of Paran. Last key that I'm going to give you, think about all these. None of these are clean or perfect, but it's just, these are the ones that make sense to me. Time is a factor in healing broken relationships. It's very rare that you're going to heal relationships immediately. I'm giving you some in the past because it's a little easier to talk about some of those that are more distant. It's not wise to talk about ones that are happening today. Protect people and protect but when we started Kensington all those years ago, I asked my 4 siblings and their spouses to support this work. They all had good jobs, all had financial resources. And it really, some of them never really did. Some of them did it maybe a little bit out of guilt. But all my life, my 4 older siblings had always been just incredible cheerleaders in my life. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm out on a limb, and they're not helping. I want to tell you, I had bitterness in my heart for at least a decade. Like grinding my teeth, so hurt by them. And I remember one day, I felt like the Lord said, Steve, when did it become your job to determine the will of God for your siblings? And I realized how stupid. Their job was to listen to God, not to me. Now, still wish they had, right, what you wish for. But if you don't get what you wish for, you live and you give grace and you give the benefit of the doubt to people you love. Now, in giving this time, I want you to realize something. God says, I'm not going to heal Miriam straight away. And you think, man, that just seems kind of harsh, making her go outside the camp. Let me say this about life. A lot of us have codependent relationships where we buoy people up and they never learn to stand on their own or face their stuff. It's important sometimes to let things sit in an unresolved place for a while. Let time do that. When I came back from Alabama last month, I learned some stuff about my family history. That has really wrecked me, and I'm not ready to talk about it publicly to my black brothers and sisters, but I will sometime in the future. And I feel like God has said to me, he said, you need to sit in this. You need to sit in the leprosy for a while. Because sometimes you just don't go, okay, everything's good. Let's all go watch the Tigers. You got to live in it because it's real, it's people, it's lives that matter. Here's the amazing thing this is my last point, promise. Well, maybe. When Aaron, who was in this thing, in a different part of the Pentateuch, Leviticus 16, Aaron was the first on the Day of Atonement to bring forward a live goat. It says in Leviticus 16, verse 21, that the high priest was to lay both hands on the head of the live goat and confess over this goat. Like you take a goat, you kidding me? And the high priest, leading the people in worship, puts his hands on the head of the goat, and he confesses the wickedness and rebellion of all the people, all their sins, and puts them on the goat. Does anybody know what they did with the goat? They then led on a piece of rope. The goat is led out of the camp into the wilderness, and the goat carries all the sins of the people to a remote place, and the man releases the goat in the wilderness. So what word do we get from this story that it's used in all of history? Scapegoat. The goat takes symbolically all the sins of the people he takes out. He's taken outside the camp. Miriam has to go outside the camp. Why? Because she's defiled. She's guilty. The goat has to go out. But here's the amazing thing, and this is where I finish. Hebrews 13 says, Jesus also suffered outside the city gate when they took him and they wrapped him, and after they had beaten him and struck him and spit in his face and defiled him, they led him outside the city walls of Jerusalem to crucify him to a piece of wood. And so Hebrews 13 says he suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his blood. Jesus was the goat. The goat, hundreds and hundreds of years, was representing what Jesus was going to do. And it says in verse 13, let's go to him outside the camp, bearing the disgrace he bore. Why do we go outside the camp? Because we've all screwed up. We've all messed up. We've all broken relationships. We've all fallen short of God's plan. And we go to meet Jesus. And what we find out outside the camp, we don't find judgment. We find forgiveness and mercy. That's why, as we finish today, I want to just give you a few things to think about. Whether you feel like someone has misjudged you or your character or hurt you, or whether you have mistreated or abused others, whether you live in a relationship that just doesn't seem like it'll ever be the same, we have some resources for you. And I just want to, if you get your phone out, you can hit the QR code on these, which I think would be helpful. The first one is relationship resources, which I really love. I would love it if I see a few of you doing this. I just think this would be super cool for all of you to go and just look through this to find that there might be something that really is going to help you with someone that you're struggling with. And I'm very excited about that. The second one is another one. The second one coming up is our care ministries, where we invite people to be in relationship, to where people can pray for you. Is there another one coming up on care ministry? I can't remember if I even looked for one. Is there another one? KensingtonChurch.org/care. There's no QR code, but you can do that. We have so many ministries that are helping connect and support people along the way. Those are just two that would be so great. And I want to say this about the care ministry. The care ministries at Kensington and the church that I've been in are the most authentic of all the ones we do, because it's where people get real. There's no posturing. It's like when I've led with Justin Warrens and other guys, we've led groups to Israel. Usually we do it with about 20 guys. And what's so amazing is everybody drops the posture, don't they, John? Lawrence, people get real. They get honest. They tell their life. They don't hide from it. And we've just seen amazing changes along the way. So I just love that care ministry that you would, and we've got some care ministry people in the lobby as well. Of course, we have Carol Lamazny along the way. So let me say this, as we're coming to this, at the end of this. Matthew, Jesus says, if you're offering your gift at the altar and remember your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. This is just it's like bring it to Jesus, be reconciled, and find a way to speak into that brokenness along the way. Get the advice of others. It's like we're doing a men's breakfast in 3 weeks, and just say, not just because I'm speaking and going to do a great job on that morning, but come because as men, you need to be in relationship with men, to be better men, better people. That's just kind of stuff that we do. So here's how we're going to finish. If you came in, I'm hoping you got a card. Did you get a card? Yes. If you're willing to, you don't need to do this, not in compulsion, but if you're willing, I would love for you to take this card and write the name down of the person that you really are in a broken situation with, and you'd like to give it to God. And in a minute, we're going to ask you to come, leave them here up in the front on the stage as an altar, or you can leave them there. You can leave them back. Their communion tables right at the center, back by the soundboard, right there. Because I'm going to ask you to take your card to say, Lord, I'd really love to find some healing. I'd love to get some wisdom for what to do with this brokenness, and drop it off, and then take the bread and the cup. Because the bread and the cup represents how much Jesus loves you, how much he's forgiven you, how the fact that he didn't allow our relationship with him to stay broken. He's like, he came, like I am going to come and I'm going to let myself be broken so that we can be in relationship. That's why Jesus said, this bread is my body, which is given for you. Eat this in remembrance of me. He said, this cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for the forgiveness of sins. It's crazy, but this is the invitation that he gives to us along the way. So if you're willing, I want you to take this card, drop it off, and then take the bread and the cup, and when you're ready, you can take it yourself. Just in a moment of quiet reflection, say, Lord, hold the bread and the cup. Say, Lord, thank you for your forgiveness that you showed on the cross. Thank you for your power to change our lives, represented in the resurrection. And may not only I feel your forgiveness, but may you help me live in a posture of restoring broken relationships in my life. It'd be pretty cool. So you can come down and do that, and then head back to your seat, and we'll sing this beautiful song together, Come to the Father. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for the team. Thank you for every precious person in this room. Lord, whatever weight they're carrying, you know what weight is like. You know what brokenness is like and hurt. Would you continue to do this healing in us and in our relationships? And would it be something that spills out to our communities and to the world, that people would see that healing and give praise to your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. And I see it now, I'm laying it down. I know that I need you. I'll run to the Father, I'll fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. And I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand it, I can't is running to life from death, and I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out, just as I am. You pull me in, and I know I need you now. Run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm not done with hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding. Oh, my heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again. Sing, oh, 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 again and again and again and again. Oh, again and again. I'll run to you, Jesus. I'll run to you, Jesus. I'll run to the Father. You will help me. You see me, Jesus. Yes, I'll run to the Father. Oh, run to the Father. Run to the Father. You care for me, you care for me. I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. You'll find in Scripture that it says to cast your cares on Him, for He cares. So the more you run to Him, the more you come to Him, the more He can show how much He cares for you. The more you come to Him, the more He can show how He can heal you, how He can restore you, and how He simply just can help you. I think about my own children sometimes. I think about how they come to me with big problems, little problems, and when they're confused and when they're hurt, how quickly and willing I am to help. How quickly I'm ready to wrap my arms around them and show them you don't have to cry, you don't have to stay here. How much more willing is the Creator to pour His love on us, His unconditional love on us. No matter what we're facing, it could be heartbreak. It could be heartbreak from someone from the past, from the present. He is there to help. So is there anybody, if there's anyone who wants to receive prayer at this time, you can always meet us right here in the front, and our prayer team will meet you here, and they'll be so happy to pray both for you and with you. Listen, just a couple of things. If you are new to Kensington, new around here, new to the community of Kensington, today is a great opportunity for you to meet and greet with all those around. It's a good opportunity to meet the staff and get to know what Kensington is all about. So right after service, if you go into the lobby, right above where the cafe is on the second level, that's where you can meet and you can really find out a lot of things you probably didn't know about us. Good opportunity to meet and greet. And listen, that is all. We're so excited that you decided to join us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Until next time, take care.